Welcome to the Northwoods Kindred podcast. I'm Skogel, Gidya of the Northwoods Kindred.
And I'm Bodvar, Chieftain and Gothi. So today we're going to do part 2-2 of our year in review. Because we did not plan well enough to get it all done in one episode.
We kind of ran our mouth a little bit.
We do that once in a while.
A little bit.
So we'll get to it after this word from our sponsor.
Oh, shit. We're doing that again?
No, because we don't have any sponsors. But check this out. Check this out, though.
In days of yore, youth was born, sturdy strength of the stock of gods. At the edge of the earth, Ed and maids 9 give birth and suckle to the brightest of the gods.
This vlog has ended. Thank you all.
Group hug! So, this is what, episode 37?
I don't know. Who cares?
I think it's episode 37, and this would be from, what is it, July to December.
July to December, yeah.
Because last episode was January to June.
Yeah, and we actually have a little cool thing we're going to do when we get to the December. Hold on. We actually have a little thing we're going to do when we get to the December part. But we mentioned it in the last one, but we didn't get there because we ran long. So we'll get there at the end of this one. Anywho.
So we're going to start with July. What was July?
July would be our birthday.
Yeah, Yamodaliva.
Yamodaliva. So it's our birthday. So we had our birthday gathering. Hawking came up.
Mm-hmm. Again. Twice in 1 month.
We celebrated, of course, Svein Born Blentenson. We celebrated him because 4th of July would be his birthday.
Mm-hmm. And this birthday, we kind of closed it to guest.
Yeah, we did. We kept it tight.
You know, and I think that was, I know you wanted to open it to guests, but I was in a place where, like, I don't want to host anybody, and I don't want to have to.
Well, we just had a bad month in June, too, so.
Yeah.
We had a rough month.
Yeah.
So.
And I was just not into it. And it's like, nope, I just want to be with my kinsmen. I want to be with people I feel safe with and I can just release with and not.
That's a good statement, too. That you can just feel safe and relief with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't think, a lot of people might not have that. They might have a kindred, but they don't have a kindred full of people that they feel safe with.
Yeah.
So that's like a point to make. Like, we feel safe. Like, there's no apprehension about what we do or say or how we act or what we eat or, you know, our kinsmen, they're not even the people we clean the house for. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Yavanar's coming over. Do we pick up the living room? No, nope. We don't care. We don't care.
We unlock the door.
Yeah. So it's that kind of safe.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like our kinsmen know what we've gone through. They've been right there with us. They've supported us. They've encouraged us. They've picked us up at points.
Yeah, and they've been on the receiving end of that support quite a bit this year, too.
Yes. But you and I have both have siblings, and they have no idea.
Cricket.
Did you know that Northwoods Kindred has a Discord channel dedicated to frith and sharing of knowledge related to the Norse pagan path? We have channels dedicated to all disciplines on this path and some of the most kind and generous heathens the world over. Are you curious how to pronounce something in Icelandic or Norse? Jump on over to the mother tongue and ask a native speaker. Still not getting it? Up into the Well of Words with voice and video channel to speak face to face. Trying to work out the meaning of a difficult dream? Hop over to Dreams and Visions and get somebody else's opinion. Are you proud of something that you accomplished? Share it with the whole tribe on Braggy's Round. Experience community like only the Northwoods Kindred can bring. And of course, it is free and always will be. The link is in the link tree. Welcome to the Northwoods Kindred's online tribe.
Kindreds in general usually don't make it past the third year.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's just about the time where you get to know somebody good enough to really either use what you know against them or for them to use what they know about you against you. So if there's any nefarious intent, it usually airs its ugly face by 3
Yeah.
years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that was clear. You know, like you get to know somebody well enough to decide if you like them and if you want to use this information against them or not. And we don't have that worry here at all. So
Well,
not even a little bit.
I will say it was probably because of Hawking coming out in June and doing the whole celebration with cigars, which is like the episode previous to this. There was a good chance we were going to cancel our birthday.
Yeah.
Like neither of us were up to celebrating.
Just going internal for a while.
And but we did, and it was just this amazing time. We had our birthday party, and then we brought in a new ritual. Do you remember what it was?
No.
Cacao, cacao.
Oh, was that one?
That was that
one.
one.
Oh, we did the cacao ceremony.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got a little flack from that, but it's kind of funny too because if you think about it, like we were just coming down off a really, really bad time, and we thought, well, this is a ritual that's designed to bring you out of that. So
open your heart and
yeah, it's what it's all about. It's all about being open and vulnerable with your people and your tribe. So we put this ritual together, and we showed you how to do it, right? We showed what we did anyway, and we made the cacao, and we did a full ritual to Heimdall about it, and we served our kinsmen, many of them with handmade cups, or they stirred it with their handmade spoons, because we did a craft gathering and we handmade spoons.
Well, we gave them for their birthday present, we gave them a carving jack and a
That's
spoon
right,
blank.
because that was this birthday,
That was
right?
that birthday,
So
yeah.
I got everybody like a little folding carving knife. It has like 6 blades for wood carving and little spoon blanks, and we all carved our own spoons. That's right, that was it.
And that's one of those things that, as a Gothi and as a chieftain, those are one of those things that you just do to make memories and
and not
appreciation.
everybody's financially able to do little things like that, but it wasn't that expensive. I don't think I spent more than $200 on the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was fun. And
it was birthday presents.
It was a birthday present for my kinsman, yeah. And but the fact that we let ourselves be so vulnerable, and that was like one of the rituals. Yeah, it's not a Norse pagan ritual, but it's an important ritual.
I will say too that when I put these videos out, it was me doing the description and it was me doing the hashtags, and like you didn't even have any idea what I was doing, and I was hashtagging Asatru and stuff like this, and you got a lot of hate because it wasn't an Asatru ceremony and stuff like. You had no fucking clue. This was all on me, and I didn't run anything by you. I'm trying to reach people.
It doesn't
I'm
really
just
matter.
trying to reach people, and that's all I was doing.
We're just trying to reach the right people that know and need it. So if we can't work with each other and make each other be better, then what are we doing? Why are we doing it? So anyway,
we're going to move off on that.
Didn't mean to go there, but that was,
But
if anything, that was a little taste of this year.
That's just one more thing. It's like, oh, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But then we get our testimonials and we get our people and we get our tribesmen, and it's like we get our emails and our comments and all these things, and it's like, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it. We get that occasional guy who's like, hey, man, I watched this video that you made, and it really changed my practice, or it really got me through this hard time, or it really helped me get over this hump. And we're like, cool, man, I appreciate you so much for saying that, because we get a lot of flack too, and sometimes it's nice to just know that it's still of value to somebody, and it's not just fodder for somebody to trash us.
And those are the people that they're just trying to further their practice and not further their subscriber count.
Yeah
Is what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't understand our intent at this point, then you probably haven't been paying attention. So
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get off of this.
Yeah, let's get rid of that. So
Skål.
Yeah, skål.
Skål.
Oh, that's probably something wrong with that too.
Probably.
Even though that's what they do.
Hey, did you notice magically our beers were filled by the second episode?
I did notice that. It's amazing.
Skål to the vettier, the keg vettier.
Skål to the keg vettier. Anyway.
Okay, so we're going to get into But no, we did a cacao ceremony.
Yes, it was a great. We got off of that topic, but it was a great ceremony.
Yeah, because you asked Haken to open it up because Haken has always been a Heimdallsgodi.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, there's no bloat to stand in rather than a Haken's bloat, right?
Yeah, something about it. It's
Yes.
something about standing in bloat with Goliakin, yeah.
Yeah. So you asked him to open the bloat, and then him and I made the cacao together, and we did it very sacred-like. And, we blessed it, and we put some in the bowlie for offering when, during the bloat. And we drank the cacao, and we all said our intentions, and we opened our hearts, and we really did such a ceremonial dose. It was a big dose.
It was, yeah.
And, once we all finished our cups and our kinsmen could get up and refill their cup if they needed to, because those at the beginning had less of a cup than those at the end because we were trying to make sure everybody got some.
Mm-hmm.
And once all the cups were drank, we all laid down to your breath work. And then we all went to this ancestral place.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was a deep ceremony.
And
maybe it's not rooted in Norse pagan history, but it was valuable to these current modern Norse pagans. That ritual was super valuable, and we're going to do it again. I think that's going to be a birthday tradition.
Because you and I weren't the only ones going through shit.
Yeah, right.
Like our kinsmen were going through shit, just not as rough as we were going through at that moment.
We think that, but they weren't necessarily airing it all either.
No, they weren't.
Because we certainly didn't tell them all the shit we were going through.
No.
They just knew we were having a hard time. Yeah. So, I mean...
But it was this beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And we did the breath work, and then once with the breath work, then we went into the ritual. Then we went into bloat, and then we went into the blessings, and then we closed it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like a 2-hour ritual. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was very healing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of power in it.
Yeah.
I felt like.
I did too.
It was very connected. It's from the Amazon or wherever they grow cacao, but we sourced everything correctly. We paid
ethically as we could. Yeah.
Yeah, we paid for the higher end stuff, the best stuff we could get, which
the ceremonial grade that hasn't been roasted, hasn't been processed.
Right, that's gone through the tribe, so the money goes back to the right place. At least as far as the lie, I don't know.
I mean, it's the internet.
We're buying stuff off the internet, and we're believing the ad or whatever, the propaganda.
But we went into it with the sacredness that it deserved.
We weren't looking for a deal. We were looking to not only do the ritual, but to feel good about the materials that we sourced for the ritual. Just like we do when we sacrifice our animals and stuff. We want to not only do the ritual, but we want to feel good about what went into it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so that's the same way we did the cacao ceremony. The cacao was sustainably sourced.
Yeah, it was sustainably sourced, and we did it as sacred as we could.
Mm-hmm.
And our kinsmen just rolled with the punches, and I think they all really got something out of it. They really felt that heart-opening power and intention that went into this cacao recipe.
And I had to explain it to them too, because we're not strangers to other mind-altering substances.
No, nope.
None of us are, for ceremonial and recreational purposes. I mean, those things happen. But I explained to him that this isn't a buzz. It's not like eating some mushrooms or, smoking some weeds or whatever. It's something else. It's that feeling of happiness after you've just had that really good moment. You know what I mean? Like you went to a concert and you really enjoyed yourself. It's that feeling of walking back to the parking lot fulfilled.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Fulfilled. That's a great word.
That's the feeling. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that guy spilled your beer, and yeah, this thing happened, but man, what a great concert. It was Motley Crue, right? Like, so you feel that. Yeah. And that excitement, that's how it feels. There's no buzz to it. It's just it just lightens your whole spirit and says, this is great. And it doesn't last. It's just that moment of like real happiness, and that's in the middle of an otherwise dreary existence, or occasionally dreary existence,
Yeah.
right? So that's what it's. So I explain that to them, and I think that it's important when you go into something like that you understand what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
For me, it was important to let them know physically or spiritually what they were going to feel, so that when it did happen, they could just embrace it and move through it. They didn't have to analyze it. They didn't have to try to figure out some way to articulate it. They just had to experience it. And that was, I think, was an important part of the ritual, right?
Yeah, and I think you did fantastic in that sense. You described the feeling to everyone, and we all sat around knowing, what was going to be felt, and then we went right into a breath work, and we've all been in a breath work before, and so just having that deep opening, and then that release of spiritual breathing and connection that we get through your breath work was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed it, and we'll do it again. And fuck the naysayers. Like, we're going to do it again because it's valuable.
It is valuable, and this is where I think for our community, we could really do some good if we could figure out how to do this for the public, do this for...
Yeah, because it's not a narcotic, it's not a controlled substance, it's just
well, not even
useful and
cacao,
good,
just the breath work, breath work in general.
Well, even then, you still got to take into account some medical conditions where, I don't want to be doing a middle of a breathwork session, somebody has a seizure.
Of course.
So there's, and that can happen.
Yes.
So there's things to take into account, but for generally healthy people, there should be no risk at all.
Yeah.
But
this is where healing is. This
is where waivers come.
Right. This is definitely where
you're doing
waivers
in public.
come
It's
in.
like, sign this. We're not going to hurt you, but hey.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with protecting ourselves.
No. Didn't we we did a sound thing this year, didn't we?
A sound thing.
Didn't we go to a sound bath?
Oh, yeah, we went to a sound bath. That was kind of ridiculous.
It was, but it taught us a lot.
It did.
When was that? That was in May too, wasn't it?
Oh.
No, that was earlier.
It was, I think it was before your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very frustrating for you because that dude next to you wouldn't stop snoring.
Okay, I'm not sure what month we did this in, but we went, there's supposed to be it was a big deal, and it wasn't cheap either. It was like $100 a piece or something. Yeah. And we go to this.
And it was the first time I did something spontaneous like that. This is where Sammy came in, is like, you just have to live.
Right, so this was after Heilung.
Yeah, so Sammy's like, you got to do some spontaneous shit sometimes.
This was after Heilung, because you did this spontaneously after Heilung. So we went to this sound bath in Spokane, and it was supposed to be a really good experience, but it was in this church, which is great because it had great acoustics.
Oh, yeah, it was great acoustics.
And it was like, bring your own bedding, you lay down, you close your eyes, and you go into this sound thing, and the lady walking around with incense, and the smells kind of changed.
Little chime bells.
Gongs, and like, it was just a sound bath, and it was supposed to be real big and emotional, and it was like, you could cry, you could laugh, just like enjoy the sound. But I had this fucking asshole who rolled in at the 11th hour.
We were like at the wall, too, and he just...
It was the last moment. We were in a nice little space, and then people started clobbing in all around us. And this dipshit, he was obviously just there to please this girl he was trying to bang, right? They were obviously not a couple.
Yeah, no.
He was just there doing her bullshit so he could get in her pants. And this dipshit sits right next to me and falls asleep.
Yeah.
And falls asleep.
Immediately.
And so the whole sound bath, I'm hearing... the whole time. And I'm like, fucking what? And then these people that are walking around with the incense and shit, like, control your room. I paid for an experience and I'm not getting it. So I nudged this guy and I'm like, dude, totally fucking snoring, man. Like, get under control. And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry. 2 minutes later. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Ruined the whole experience. But what I did do was I stayed awake. And I just started making mental notes about how not to run a thing like this. So if anything, this experience was not meant for me because I'd had way better experiences at some of my other retreats. This experience was meant to teach me how to not do something if I wanted to do a cacao ceremony or even a sound bath, because I definitely got the equipment for it, or if I wanted to do anything like that, a breathwork ceremony for the public. I learned a lot of stuff about how not to run it, and it's unfortunate because it wasn't cheap. It took some planning to make it work.
It took an hour to drive there.
It took some work to make it work for us. And then it was something I was really looking forward to because I'd read a lot of cool things about it.
And I was spontaneous, and I don't do that, and you were really excited about that.
But I left there really mad. And I lost a hearing aid, which is like $5,000 each. So...
And so...
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I remember that.
I found it, too. How did I find it?
You found it in the driveway like 3 months later. It still worked. I don't understand that.
I don't either. I don't understand how we even got it back. Wow, that's weird.
But I do know I was really trying not to go internal with how angry you were about how the night turned out, and I was really trying not to. It's like, you can still be spontaneous. This is okay. This is just a setback. Because this was the first time I ever did. Like, I bought the tickets, and then I was like, oh, hey, we're going to go do this.
And I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to do that. That sounds great.
So it was a super surprise, and then I had a lot of regrets.
Yeah.
I was really struggling with that. But...
well, I'm sorry if I gave you regrets. That was not the intent.
I know it wasn't, and I know that you were put in this position, and it was really hard for you.
And it was a up and down year anyway, so this was just one more low point, you know. And it's like,
so I tried.
I just want to be spiritual. You know what I mean?
I do. So I was really trying not to take this to heart because I knew you didn't mean it that way, and so for me, because I was in it for a minute, and then I realized that there was just waves of anger rolling off you. And that
you could feel that?
Oh, that took me right out of it. I was back. I was like, fuck. And you didn't want to switch places with me. And you just wanted to get through it. And so what I did was, because I was out of it, I started paying attention too.
Yeah. And
so certain things that they did, it's like, oh, we can do this. We can do this with our people. And remember this, So it's like there was... In
fact, I think I incorporated some of those sounds into one of my recorded breathwork sessions, right?
I think you did. But the ones that I'm talking about was after the ritual, and then it's time to come back, and certain things that brought you back. That's what really stuck with me. And so I think we can use that going forward, incorporating that into your breath work. So it was a learning experience for me.
Yeah, and it was for me too.
And I didn't take it as I should never do anything spontaneous again, because then I surprised you with your birthday, and that was like, ooh, let's do this.
Yeah.
But I did learn stuff.
I don't know. I'm mixing up the order, because when was that? Because that was after Heilung, right? And Heilung was in May. I don't
remember when.
Was that in June, when everything was falling apart anyway?
It wasn't that late in the year. It was early in the year. It was like...
So it must have been before Heilung.
It was soon after, I think, the elk hunt is what I think it was.
Yeah, I think that too.
Because that's when Sammy and I was really talking.
Because that was the real spontaneous part, was the elk hunt. Because at the elk hunt, we were sitting at dinner.
At the bougie
spot, which we talked about last time.
Yes.
And then just randomly at the table, Sammy's like, hey, Heilung's playing in Colorado and da-da-da.
And I was like, yeah, I already tried to get tickets, but they're sold out.
And she's like, oh, I just bought 4 tickets. And we're like, fuck.
Well, no, she asked us first. She's like, they're not sold out. Do you guys want to go to Heilung? And it's like, yeah, sure, we'll go to Heilung. And she's like, bloop. Okay, I got 4 tickets. Yeah. And it's like, wait, what?
It was a shock. It was like, wow, can you do that? Can you just be that spontaneous?
What do we do? How do we pay for this? How do we get to...
How do we get a plane ticket to Colorado? Where are we going to sleep? Right? What's going on?
Yeah, it was like, whoa. Whoa.
Did we mention that Antonio Banderas was our shuttle bus driver?
Oh. I don't think you mentioned that at all.
It's not for this one.
Okay.
Pretty sure it was Antonio Banderas, though.
So we're going to...
13th Warrior.
All right, we're going backwards into Highland. Or no, that was...
Okay, so we're actually in July. So let's push back up into July and let's get into August.
So, we did
because we've been at it for a minute.
I know. We did the cacao and we did the ritual and we did all that. And
Right.
then you started talking about altered states of consciousness.
Yes.
And journeys.
I think, because it's only been recent, within the last maybe year, right, that we've introduced these cultural medicines into our practice.
Yes.
I think that we've done more healing in this year of intense trauma than we've done in the preceding 30 years.
Yes, I agree
The
with
30
that.
years
I
was
agree with
one
that.
big fucking disastrous trauma. And in this last year, we finally got to put it in its place. And we've really got to kind of accept where we are, who we are, and what, and that things just happen the way they happen. And they're not our fault. And they're not for us to carry guilt.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're really starting to come to terms with that. I know I'm a less angry person.
Yes.
I mean, I can throw some anger out here and play around, but at the end of the day, I'm quite a less angry person than I was, especially when I was on active duty. I was angry and I was overwhelmed for most of my life.
Yeah. Well, I want to say that for, you're talking about the last 30 years and all the trauma and shit we've gone through. It's almost like the last 30 years was like balled up into one little tiny freaking angry ball and sent to us this year.
Yeah, it seems like
it's like 30 years of trauma and anger and stuff is just like, oh, this is the year you're going to really feel this. Because the other 30 years, it's like we were Gen X.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
yeah.
Water off a duck's back. It's like, fuck it, we Gen X,
Yeah.
right? But this year hurt. This year broke some walls down.
Yeah, that's for sure.
To be able to go back to our cultural medicine and heal through it is, I don't know, indescribable.
Yeah, that's nice, and it has value, regardless of what people say. Anybody that says it's not is still living in the 60s and the early 70s, where they try to demonize all these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in. I don't know. I'm kind of in the mindset where none of this stuff is bad if it's natural.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad chemicals out there. Don't get me wrong, guys. There's a lot of bad stuff out there.
Just look at the food that they're feeding us.
There's a lot of good stuff that's used in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that can be really good and healthy, but when abused or used excessively, it doesn't lead to good things,
Yeah.
But I think that the opposite is also true. That there's other things that people are afraid of or that have been demonized by the government or by laws and pharmaceutical companies and stuff that are not bad at all. And they have a lot of real good value. I'm of the mindset, even for Catholics, when they eat that little vanilla wafer or whatever they're eating, that they're actually LARPing pre-Christian pagans eating mushroom caps. That's where I look at it. I think that when they go into that, they take that little body of Christ. Body of Christ is psilocybin, baby. The body of Christ is a mushroom cap, if you ask me. So, because that's really how you get that spiritual enlightenment. You don't get it by eating a vanilla wafer and taking a sip of some cheap ass wine. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get it by communing with creation, and you don't get that through a vanilla wafer or a dissolvable rice cake or whatever the hell those things are. I remember them. I know the taste of them.
Yeah. They taste like nothing.
Yeah, they taste like nothing, but they're just LARPing paganism.
Yeah.
When the Catholics eat their wafer, they're LARPing pagans eating mushroom caps from 1,000 years ago. That's what I think. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, next month.
All right. Yeah, we kind of spent like half the podcast on that month, didn't we?
It was a rough one, man. We talked about it. That's why we cut it off at the last podcast. We knew that one was going to be a marathon.
Yeah.
So
okay, so the next month was August, and we went and did the Celtic Games.
That was awesome. We did the Celtic games in was it?
Montana.
It was in Montana, but
Yeah,
it was it was in Lolo area, right? Where was that? Hamilton? Was it in Hamilton?
Oh, I think so. Hamilton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was in Hamilton. It was down the pass there and near
As a Kindred. We went as a Kindred.
as a Kindred, and it was pretty awesome. It was a pretty cool event.
Like you and I packed up both our big old Labradors
Mm-hmm.
and, our son Edgel and his girl Grayson, and we went down to Stig and Sammy's. And Yafinhar and Elias rode together.
Mm-hmm.
And then Grafiel and he brought both kids. Like we all just showed up on Stig's doorstep.
Yeah. Yeah, we crashed. We pitched tents in the yard. Stig had just built this new altar in his yard. That was cool.
Yeah.
He had a tree fall over and he carved the tree into an altar. And then part of the tree growing up, he carved it into a hammer. Low key, it looks like a penis, but growing out of the tree, but it's still a hammer.
It looked like a hammer to me.
Depends on the angle. But it was awesome. And then they let me off the hook because Grafiel actually did the ritual
Yes.
at that one.
Yeah. And he
So-
blessed Sammy's garden, which was
Yeah.
beautiful, by the way.
Yes,
And it
which
was
we ate food out of that garden.
Yeah, it was so amazing. We ate food all weekend long out of that garden. She just went out there and just started picking shit.
I think that's all we ate was just food out of that garden and elk that we
And
killed.
elk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had to empty the freezer for more elk that we're going to get.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And we went to the Celtic Games, which was super fun.
We actually met some heathens there that were running a booth that were like
Yes.
way back in the old days with us. Like we were talking about old people that we knew from back in the day who aren't even with us anymore, like Kirby Wise and stuff, old heathens. And that was pretty cool to meet them. I think they were going to meet with Stig and Sammy, but I don't know if they
I
ever
think so,
had
for
an
like
opportunity.
a dinner or a lunch
Yeah.
or something. But as a Kindred, we're talking about getting a booth there next
Yeah.
year. Or, 2025. We're talking
Yeah.
about getting a booth.
Now that we kind of have an idea on how to do that.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was cool that there's still like these old heathens that were running around back in the early 90s and mid 90s and late 90s when we were doing it. And we're still coming across those same people. They're still doing it. They just went quiet.
Yeah.
They did the Gen X thing and they shut the fuck up and minded their own business.
Right.
And let all the mouthpiece, right?
Yeah.
We should have done that.
And what about being at the Celtic Games and going to that big, giant southern... Or was
The
it
mansion?
The mansion.
Dude,
It
that
was
thing was
so
amazing.
awesome.
I would love to own a place like that. You know what we would do? We'd build a compound. We'd have our whole Kindred would have their own floor. That place was amazing.
One of the things I learned at the Celtic Games, which was kind of eye-opening, was, Stig, being the wanderer, was, hey, man, just buy multiple beer tickets now, and then you don't have to stand in that line all day.
Yeah, how dumb are we, right?
Right, we bought one beer ticket and got a beer, and then...
We stood in line for like 45 minutes, and we got 2 beer tickets, one apiece, and then we stood in the other line to cash the ticket in and actually get the beer. And Stig's like, just buy 10 tickets, and then you got beer all day. You only got to stand in one line. And we're like...
This is why he's the wanderer.
That's why, yeah, you have your role. We have ours.
Yep.
Needless to say, we bought more tickets the second time.
Yep. Okay, so...
And we were also all kilted, so if that's worth it. Yeah, we were all wearing kilts.
Damn near kilted.
Yep. Every one of us.
Yeah.
I think I bought an extra kilt there, too.
You bought an extra kilt, and Edgel bought an extra kilt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I bought my raven feather.
That thing was cool,
Yeah.
That chicken feather shawl thing.
Not chicken.
Black chicken feather shawl thing.
Okay, next month. All right. So we're now in September. We had Pagan Fest. So we went right from one event to another that this time we were vending at.
Yeah, we vended at Pagan Fest. When was the Viking thing? That was before Pagan Fest. That was the weekend before.
You're right. Yeah, Viking It.
Viking
the
It
Viking
Fair.
It Fair.
In Newport, yeah.
The first annual Viking It Fair.
That was fun, and I did a blessing, an opening, and a closing. We had a booth. We made some money. We sold some wares. We ordered a bunch of cool, like, little hammers and things like that off of Alibaba.
This is where we learned on trinket trades, and I'm going to go just on a little rant here.
Do it. Do the trinket trade thing.
So we had no idea what trinket trades are, but at events, apparently...
We've never vended at an event before.
Children, and I use that term loosely because a lot of times they were 17, 18 years old, and they were like, hey, are you into trading? And it's like, well, yeah, we love to trade. We love to barter because we've done it at different rendezvous and stuff like that. And it's like, what would you like to trade? And they're like,
here's a handful of buttons. Can I have that Heimdall statue?
Yes. Yes. It was so frustrating. I felt like trash telling them, no, we can't make that trade. It's like, I'm not taking your plastic bead and going to trade you that for a boar's tusk.
Yeah.
Like, you're cute and all, but you're still like, 20. Like, I mean, parents, like, teach your children.
Yeah, teach your children,
Like, we would have been more than happy to trade for certain things that were in a lower price range, but we were there to make money. We were there to serve our community, but make money.
Yeah. That's the whole point of vending at an event.
Yeah, we had oath ring.
We serve
bracelets.
our community every day of the year. We got to vend at an event to pay for it. So
we had oath ring bracelets that some people online sell them for $90, and we were selling them for $30.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to break anybody, but we were trying to make money, and these kids, it just stuck in my craw.
Yeah.
It just really did, because I felt like crap.
That was at the Viking It, right?
Yes.
So we set up a bowl for that at Pagan Fest.
Yeah, and that was even more frustrating.
You were ready for it.
I was ready for it, because if you don't know, I work at Goodwill, and I, price everything that's not electronic or clothing.
Where? Stuff like this.
Yeah.
If this came through, she'd put a price on.
It would come home with me, but yeah, I would put a price on it.
Prank caller.
But I had this giant bag of these beautiful starfish, and we were so ready for the trinket trade kids.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we have this great trinket trade. It's not the sticker. It's not something stupid. It's actually valuable. And then nobody came. Kind of pissed me off.
There were no trinket trades at all?
Nope.
We did get that cute little Swedish girl, though, who came over talking Swedish with the bob haircut.
She was cute.
That was funny because we're like, oh shit, we've been studying Swedish for like a year. We should probably come up with some words.
Oh yeah, we said something to her, and she just started spouting Swedish, and I was like, oh my god, you're so cute. You're so cute.
Yeah,
I don't know what you said.
She's like a Swedish exchange student or whatever.
Yeah. She had a little short bob. Yeah, she was adorable. I don't know a damn thing she said.
No, but it was fun. And then
what else did we do that month?
Well, that was a big one. So we had the Viking It Fair, where we did the rituals at, which was the first annual. So we'll probably be doing that again.
Yeah.
Sometime in there, we also went to the Ren Fair in Sandpoint.
Oh yeah, as a Kindred.
Yeah.
As a Kindred. And we were obnoxious in the jousting arena.
It's like the season, right? So it's like Ren Fair, Viking It, Pagan Festival. Everything's like stacked on top of each other.
And I'll tell you, when we went to that Ren Fair, you were not in a good place.
No, so that must have been in June, huh?
Yeah, you were in a really bad place getting there. But our kinsmen brought you out of it. They didn't even know that they brought you out of it.
Yeah, that's a good time. And then we met Keegan there, and Keegan's been to some of our gatherings, so that was always fun. It's always nice to meet new people.
Did you know that the Northwoods Kindred isn't just a podcast? We are a living, breathing kindred with all kinds of helpful stuff all over the web. Now, we've made it super easy and convenient for you to stalk us by putting everything that we have into one easy-to-find location. In the description below, we added our link tree, and that'll take you to everything that we have all over the net. I hope that helps. Tor Vigi, my friends.
So let's push on because we're kind of getting long-winded. We do that. We could almost make an episode out every month, but that would be really boring.
So also during the month of Viking It and Pagan Fest and all that stuff, you also performed a wedding.
I did. At the grotto. Wow, yeah. Okay, so I did a wedding. I did a pagan wedding, which is really cool. There's videos of it.
In a cave.
In a cave. It was an Indian cave that, or Native American cave, however you want to be about that. So it was in a cave in Washington that was women and children hid in when soldiers were floating down the river, rounding up the natives to put them on reservations. The women and the children, and probably some of the warriors, hid in those caves because you can see the river, but the river can't see you. And it's very interesting because you can walk down to the river and you can't see the caves. Yeah. It just looks like a sheer cliff face.
Yeah.
But when you're in the caves, you can see out on the river like plain as day. It's a really neat setup. So we performed a wedding inside there, and then before the wedding, we actually did a little offering to the spirits of the land. We don't know these spirits. They're not our spirits, right? No. They're not our ancestors. They're not our land whites. But we still did a little offering to them. I offered them some tobacco, and we kind of cleared the cave of all of its bad juju because it is quite vandalized and abused.
Yeah, there was certainly a feeling going into that cave, and you could kind of feel it tug on your heartstrings a little. Mm-hmm. That
there's, I guess I would call it like a deep sadness, maybe.
Yeah,
it was just like a lingering sadness.
But there was also this feeling of legacy and hope and stuff too. So it was this weird mix.
But some people aren't sensitive to those kind of feelings.
Yeah.
They don't walk into a space and understand the history of it, or at least what the history feels like.
Or just start crying.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's one of those spaces where you can just walk in and just feel so deeply.
Yeah. And you ignore the broken glass and the discarded water bottles and the spray paint on the walls and the altar. Because there's a big altar in the middle. And I don't know where that came from. It's obviously not ancient because it's made out of like concrete. But somebody thought to stack up a bunch of rocks and then concrete them in and make an altar. And we just used that altar to have our ceremony. And I think we did the space in honor.
Oh, I'm sure we did the space in honor. And I also think we did the couple in honor. I think they were very happy with the ceremony.
For sure.
And it was a beautiful time.
Yeah, it was good.
And we have a video on that one, too.
We do. It's out there. And there's also a document on it, a download, too.
Shit. Oh, yeah, your Asatru wedding ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to move into October.
Winter nights.
Winter nights.
October is basically uneventful up until the end of it.
Oh, you mean when you sliced a couple of sheep throats open and bled their blood and splattered it all over your kinsmen in the Vey?
Yeah, so up until the end of October. The rest of the month was pretty benign.
Yeah, right? It was kind of...
It was just October.
It was pretty vanilla.
Vanilla-tober.
So Winter Nights was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
it was a pretty amazing thing. So fucking go.
No, go ahead. Winter Nights, it was a whole weekend thing with our kinsmen. And technically Winter Nights was Saturday when we had guests come out and we did our creepy maypole and our billet to fray. But before that, we sacrificed our sheep.
Yeah. So we have these 2 sheep that we've been raising since this fall. We didn't actually talk about getting the sheep, but that was...
Oh, man.
Pretty far back. It was like September or October the previous year, right?
It was November because it was after the trauma started.
Okay. So November of the previous year, and we picked up these sheep, and then...
3 of them.
3, and we've been raising them all year. One of them died earlier, and I mean, it was warranted. She's in the freezer.
We're just sick of her shit.
Okay, so she kept trashing into the chicken coop, knocking down the door, and smashing up the whole chicken coop, and then just kind of coming out in the yard and grazing. And every time anything was out in the yard that was worth a goddamn, like my Jeep, she would just rub up on it till she rubbed the paint off, or she would... And then every time I fixed the chicken coop, she would knock the door down. So I just killed her and put her in the freezer.
It was just... Yeah, it was her time.
It was her... She was just too much destruction. Her name is Karen, by the way, or was... So if your name's Karen, well, sorry, not sorry.
Use your middle name.
So, yeah, right. Anyway, so she was a pain in the ass, and she got dealt with quite early.
And that shut the sisters up.
Yeah.
They were done for a few weeks. They were done
Being ornery, yeah. So, other than that, we treated them really well, and we go into winter nights, and the whole only reason of having them was to be able to sacrifice, to do a live animal sacrifice. And before you go crazy in the comment section, it is absolutely constitutionally protected. It has already been decided at the Supreme Court, as long as it's done in a humane way for the right reasons. You can't like murder a goat and hang it in a tree. Like, that's ridiculous, right?
Well, I will tell you. Okay, so in the next few weeks, we have some short videos coming out with video of the sacrifice. Not necessarily so visually disturbing, but
Right.
there is. You can definitely tell.
It definitely implies what's
going to happen.
Yeah.
So while I was uploading these, I was also searching on YouTube for different, animal sacrifice rituals and see where are we going to get bananaed? I don't know. So I was searching and I did find these one videos of this Kindred. And I can't remember what state it was in, but it was this Kindred that was voting in this new member, and they slaughtered a bunch of livestock in their garage. Yeah, and it was absurd. Like, a couple of them got, arrested. I mean, eventually they got let go, but this is not that.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it was
like
this,
chickens and stuff, or?
It was livestock. I think there was a goat. I think there was a cow, a couple chickens.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was multiple animals that were slaughtered in the garage and hung up from the rafters just to vote a new member in. And it wasn't like the food wasn't processed. The meat wasn't processed. And it was just, it's on YouTube. It's just really weird. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's like, ooh, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah. Are they supposed to be Norse pagans or just general?
It was, I think it was something about, I think they were talking about voting this new member into Odin.
Oh, that's horrible.
But now on YouTube, they only got 30 some views, and this was 3 years ago. But I was doing research because while we want to show our community
We don't want to
and
gross them out,
educate
or-
our community. Yeah.
So we did it very classy. And I actually took it to the level of I built the knife to do it. So I built my own knife. I heat treated it 3 different times because I put it on a Japanese hamon on the steel. And you can see all that stuff on some of these avenues of whatever, right? I'm sure the pictures are out there somewhere. But I actually heat treated it and then annealed it 3 different times to get that hamon just right. I wanted everything perfect. The handle, everything, and the blade length. And I'll tell you, I went into that throat and back out, and it was all the way to the bone. I kept sawing because I didn't believe that it would go through so fast. But it was a super clean, efficient kill. And I say that because I know, because I used to work at the Mountain Warfare Training Center, and I used to teach survival. And for every survival class, every student would kill a rabbit, every student would kill a chicken, and then we would have anywhere from 1 to 3 goats for the student body. Some students would kill it. Usually I would pick the most squeamish person, the one who needed the lesson the most. But it was always done humanely and quick. It was done essentially halal because that's what they would be faced with overseas if they had to kill a goat. They would ideally have to do it halal. And so we would do that. So I know what efficiency looks like. And one of the people who was my instructors up there at that time was Stig, who is now my kinsman. So he knew my method. He knew how we're supposed to do it, how everything went. He's no stranger to hunting or to...
Yeah, that was pretty seamless. After you did it, he just came in and he took the knife and...
Yeah, because it was cut, and I'm still holding the head, and I hand him the knife, and we go back. Everything just went so well without any kind of a rehearsal. It was meant to happen. I got to believe that. The animals didn't suffer at all. And
no, there was no fear. There was no trauma. There was no...
Yeah.
I don't even think pain. It was just so quick, it was over.
And the knife was just as sharp as it could be. And yeah, that's just one of those things. I don't know if you've ever been choked out, right? So... they lock it in, and 2 seconds later you're out, right? That's essentially the same thing that happens when you cut a throat efficiently. It's a second or two, and they're gone. They never feel the pain. You ever got a paper cut? You don't feel the pain until after it's, until a minute later when it starts stinging a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like they don't never feel the pain. They never feel anything. They're gone at that moment. And there's a little twitching, but that's just energy in the body finding an escape, right? Because you've seen me butcher rabbits before.
I have.
The meat's kind of twitching and stuff. That's just energy. It's just that's a chemical process or an electrical process. They're gone like that.
So when I was editing these videos, and I'm trying to edit them tastefully, but I'm also trying to edit them educationally to show like how quick and efficient you are. Mm-hmm. Because there was an efficiency that even blew my mind. And
I've also done it quite a bit.
I know you have.
Not ritually, but
I know you have. You and Stig. And there was a moment where you're just, you're in and out and in and out. And like you said, she was already gone and you were sawing. And the only movement you could see on her was her ears just went like that. Like there was no big eye bulging. There was no movement. It was just like her ears went, and that was the only movement she made. So for me, watching that, it showed that she was already gone, and it was just movement.
Yeah.
So I don't take that for what it's worth, but for me, that's what I seen. There was no trauma.
Yeah, and I mean, like for you, that's probably the first time you've seen something like that, and then Sammy, I know that's the first time she's seen it.
Yeah.
And even for some of our kinsmen have probably never seen that type of a slaughter. They probably shot animals before, but they'd never seen anything like that ritualistically. Yeah. But it was very valuable, I think, for them, and they all want to do it again.
Yeah, and I mean, we even had a couple of children there.
Yeah.
And both birth children and children that we've adopted over the course, and they.
You say children, we're talking about adult children.
Yeah, we're talking about 19, 20-year-olds, 26-year-olds. It's just something that they haven't seen, but they.
Yeah, it's not something that's really dominant in their generation.
No,
right?
but like our children have seen us slaughter rabbits. Mm-hmm. They have seen that. They've seen us gut fish.
And chickens.
And for some reason, fish don't count, I feel.
That's weird, okay.
No, I feel like fish...
They're still living creatures, okay.
I know, but if you think about it, people don't care that fish get hooked through the lip and, there's a worm and then...
Well, I don't think they have nerve endings. I don't think they feel that, but...
I know, but people don't really care about fish. It's like, oh, we're going to go fishing and we're going to fucking...
Right.
So, but no, our children have seen certain things like this. And for me, I was really concerned with the sounds.
Yeah. Because it can be bad, yeah.
It can be bad because Gen X, I grew up through Faces of Death. Right?
Yeah, that's not a very good accurate.
Okay. But no, I was concerned with sounds, and I was concerned with those sounds haunting our children. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like that. It was, man, it was so sacred. It was so magical.
Yeah.
It what the fuck is that?
The mouse.
But, because I talked to you about, well, why don't we just shoot him first? Why don't we just shoot him and then we do this?
Which was a thought. Like, that's a legitimate concern.
You definitely considered that. You didn't.
But here's
just
the thing: I've seen
out of.
I've seen more shootings in the head go wrong than cuttings of the throat.
Yeah.
When you saw to the spine, there's no way to mistake that. But when you shoot, if you don't get them in the right spot, all you end up doing is blowing out their navel cavity or nicking the brain. Or there's so many ways for a .22 or a small rifle or whatever to shoot them in the head and do it wrong.
Yeah.
Or you shoot them in the side, you waste a lot of meat, you make a bloody mess, they twitch and cry, they're alive for a while in pain. None of that is a concern when you sacrifice them correctly, when you cut the throat,
Mm-hmm.
you know. When you do that correctly, it's over so fast.
And that's something I learned this year. And it was so quick and efficient and painless, and like I told you, I was so grateful that you decided not to shoot them, because not only do you have to consider, you know, whether you hit the right spot, but there's such a large crack of sound that it would have taken us all out of that sacred moment of.
I don't know if it would have.
I think it would have.
It's just a 22. It's a loud pop, but I don't think it would have taken anybody. It might have startled, but it wouldn't have taken you completely out.
No, it would have been easy enough to get back into it.
Because I've been in that
it
focus.
would have been
I've been in that focus moment, aiming in on a deer or an elk, and dropped the hammer and didn't even hear the shot. You know, didn't even hear it. You
I don't know.
mean? Like,
I don't
you've
know.
shot deer. Do you hear the shot?
No,
Yeah.
not really. Not really. But there's also a difference between when you're holding the gun and you're pulling the trigger and you're watching.
That's true too. I'll give you that. For sure.
So, I don't know. We can certainly move on from this.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, live animal sacrifice. It was an amazing adventure, and we will do it again. And we did it right. We put the right planning
And
and
there
the
are
right
videos coming
preparation
out.
into it. And there'll be little bits and pieces of that coming out. We have to be careful we can dull out, because we don't want to get
bananaed.
bananaed.
But we may have more instructional videos on our Patreon
On our Patreon.
in the future.
Patreon will get more than we can divvy out to the public, for sure.
So we'll see. If we get bananaed, look for Northwoods Kindred 2.
Yeah, right. -2 in the pop. Okay, November.
Okay. So November was Feast of the Einhar.
Yes. So Feast of the Einhar isn't obviously a traditional celebration. It's another one of those that is based on the old Asatru Alliance calendar that we were so used to from our early days. And it's just something we carried forward because we liked it. We thought it was valuable. And we do it near Veterans Day. And I know Veterans Day and Memorial Day, I understand the difference, blah, blah, blah. You know, debate that amongst yourselves. We do it near Veterans Day because we don't have any other festivals that happen in November, and it seems appropriate because we have Veterans Day, Marine Corps birthday, we have the time that we started dating, we have our wedding anniversary. They're all right there in this little pocket. So it's a good time to add a good seasonal celebration as well.
But I know you and I talked about moving this more to Memorial Day.
We thought about it, yeah.
Yeah. We just haven't done it yet, and this is how you create
Plus, we
new
have to
traditions.
fill the gap in November too.
Yes, because the first of the year is super busy, and we have all kinds of other stuff going.
Right. Yeah. Memorial Day is the end of May. That means no May Day, unless we do 2 gatherings that month. And then it gets really close to Svineborn's birthday and the Kindred birthday.
And you don't want to do a maypole because we do birthday maypole, and then we do.
So there we go.
Yeah.
So anyway, we do it our way, and we're not going to over-explain it. But so Feast of the Einhar, what we do generally is we all write something. It's one of the few times where we read something that we wrote on paper. So we all write something, and in my case, I have a poem that I wrote in Iraq. And so what I've been doing most recently is I add an extra stanza to the poem every year.
Yeah.
And so it gets longer and longer, and then everybody
It's such
else
a great poem.
and everybody else just writes you might find it if you've been around for a minute. It was actually, I think, published in one of the episodes of Vortru magazine for the Alliance way back after the Iraq invasion.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that I do have a short video of you reciting it. I don't have that actually uploaded yet, but it is there. So
the poem's called Warrior's Will. It might even be online. I don't know. But there's a lot of extra stanzas that I've created since then. So
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so it's a good poem. But it's about, brothers fighting battles and some winning and some losing. And then everybody else read their little piece, and then we burn it to send it on the smoke. That's how we celebrate our Feast of the Einhar. And other than that, it's just a regular bloat.
Yeah.
to Odin.
Yeah. I mean, just gathering wise, we usually have a nice pork dish,
Yeah.
and we do the god plate. But it's a pretty low key gathering. It's pretty
Yeah, it's one of those where we're like,
solemn.
yeah, we're just kind of like really relaxing and just kind of enjoying kinship above all else, and we're not getting too heavy onto the rituals and.
Yeah, and it's also because we just came out of Winter Nights. I mean, we came out of Winter Nights this year and the sacrifice.
Yeah, which was emotionally draining. Like it was a really heavy. It was a really heavy gathering.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a sad gathering or bad.
No,
gathering.
but there was a lot of work. Like we had to get up before the sun, and so what we didn't mention about that gathering when we slaughtered those animals was at sunrise, so that we would have time to prepare them for the feast that night.
Yes.
We didn't actually mention that.
No, I mean we woke up at sunrise or before sunrise, and we slaughtered them at sunrise, and then we had to take down the maypole, and we had to restring the maypole and put it back up. And
As we slaughtered those animals, the sun was coming up, and it was literally golden hour. It was so beautiful, and the pictures like of me holding up the horn, and it's almost glowing. That's the sun coming up over the horizon, lighting up that horn because it happened to be through a gap in the trees. It was just all perfect, right? Yeah.
Yeah, spiritually, we all experienced such growth that day, I think. I know I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Feast of the Einhar is between that, and then we added the sheep sacrifice and offering to Odin, and then Yule. So it's like, this is kind of a gathering. We're just going to take it a little easier.
Yeah, because Yule is heavy with stuff.
Yes.
We're going into December?
Yeah, we might as well.
You asked for it, so we did it. Northwoods Kindred now has some amazing swag that we created just for our tribesmen. We have branded specialty shirts, tote bags, coffee cup, no more tired old Viking designs pillaged from the net. These are high quality products that you can only get by visiting our Teespring store. And most are available in a wide variety of sizes and color options. There's certainly something there to make every Norse heathen a happy camper. Link is in the link tree below.
So, moving into December.
Well, actually, I want to go back to October for just a moment. No. Okay. So, in October, during our Winter Nights blot to fray, all done up in our creepy makeup and our
We didn't
animal
actually talk about
skins,
that, but yeah.
we named our kinsman.
Yeah.
Reidar.
Mm-hmm.
We named him. So, I just want to go back and just mention that was his.
Reidar got his name, yeah.
Yeah.
So we do that. We give ourselves, or our kinsmen, an Asatru name. Not everybody does that, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. We like it. We like to get a different identity, a different name, a different, I'm Bodvar and this is Skogul. Obviously, our parents didn't name us that because they weren't very cool. Most of our kids got really cool names. But they want to take on. Like Leif wanted to take a different name, so we named him Torleif, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the same but different.
Yeah.
Edgel hasn't expressed any desire to get a new name.
Well, I do want to mention too that this is something I've seen that our people have asked about. Like, how do you get a name? How do you get named? And do you just pick one, or do you get given one, or do you have to do this and get one?
Yeah.
But for like you and I, once they're our kinsmen, we start looking for a name.
Yeah.
We start looking at the different attributes
aspects of their personality.
Yeah. And just it jumps out at us. And Reidar was a home warrior, a defender of the home, a defender of the homeland.
Yeah.
And that is definitely.
That definitely fits him, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jafnhar is
just as
high. And Stig is
the wanderer.
The wanderer, yeah. So that's just what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Grafiel is the Grey Mountain.
The Grey Mountain. How did I forget Grafiel? How did I forget Grey Mountain? and it's actually funny because Grafiel, Grey Mountain, is actually a place where I trained. I've spent some time on Grafiel in Norway. So.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, so we can go back to December. I just thought of that. That was a huge, momentous thing in
Definitely
October.
noteworthy occasion for the Northwoods Kindred for this year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't figure naming a kinsman is one of the noteworthy things,
Yeah.
For sure. Anyway, into December,
Okay.
coming into Yule. We did
Yule.
Yule. We celebrated Yule early.
Very early.
So there seems to be like some heat. So since we're just now getting out of that season, there seems to be some heat around the community about, oh, Yule is not in December. That's Hawking the Good moved it to December to convert it to Christianity. It's all a bunch of bullshit. That is true. He did move it back to the solstice in order to make it coincide with the Christian holiday. That's a fact. I think Yule is technically supposed to be celebrated on the first full moon in January, which this year ends up somewhere like the 15th or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Fuck that. Like, you got time off of work now, right?
Yeah, your kids are on winter break.
We live in a very Christianized country with Christianized holiday schedules from work and whatnot. I had a paid day off December 25th, right? They didn't ask what my religion was. They said, we're not open on that day. You get a paid day off, right? We had holiday parties. Like, we all know that this is the season to celebrate. How you celebrate is how you express your religion and your connection to the divine. It doesn't matter exactly when it happens. I think we have a better understanding about the natural world, right? We have a better understanding about science and you know, the technology of nature. We have a better understanding about those things, so we can slide these ceremonies left and right. We're not worried about the winter frost giants coming in and harassing us so that we don't have enough crops to get through the next season. It's all bullshit. That's historic shit. Like, that was important to those people, but it's not necessarily important to us. We have to go to work when we're told to go to work, and we pay our bills, and we buy our food at the grocery store for the most part. And we celebrate the season when it's appropriate and when we have the time to do it. So those that want to be real nerdy and stuck up about it, get off your high horse. Some of us have to live, and, you know, we have to celebrate when we can. If you celebrate Yule and you're not praying to Jesus, then you're doing it right by me, you know, like, as far as I'm concerned. But we can debate what people did before Hawking the Good, right?
Yeah.
That was still 1,000 years ago, and they're wrong because you got to go 1,000 years prior to that. Like, fuck you. Like, how far back are we going, right? Just live your life and celebrate your gods and your people. You know, it's like there has to be you got to draw a line somewhere, man. You know.
Well, I know, like, for us, we always wanted to, when the kids were still in school, celebrate on the 21st. But when they go on winter break on the 19th and we're not ready, it's like, okay, you guys got to be good for at least a week. And then, you know, so there came a point where we just kind of stretched it out. And sometimes it went past the 25th.
Yeah.
It was like, you guys are being kind of assholes. We're going to wait on this.
But my point is that some of the modern mouthpiece say you're not really practicing paganism if you don't do it in January.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Why do you got to make people feel bad about doing what they got to do when they can do it? Like, why does everybody so bent on making someone else feel bad about their effort? I just don't understand it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they feel good about themselves. I don't know.
They obviously, you can't feel very good about yourself if your entire persona, especially online, is making other people feel bad about the way they are. You know what I mean?
Well,
there's some deep trauma that makes that kind of stuff come out.
You know, as well as I do, that some people just need to be elevated above other people to make themselves feel good. And I think this is kind of a way to do that. They're elevated, they're more educated, they're YouTubers, and they're so far above everybody else. And
I don't really care. They probably haven't read any books that I haven't read. We just interpret them differently.
They're just mean.
We just interpret them
differently.
differently.
You just have to learn how to be kind.
Yeah, that's it. Is learn how to be kind. I can be as mean and nasty and brutal as anybody. I just choose not to.
Yeah.
You know, you have to choose not to. Because, I don't know. There was a point where I was mean and, you know.
Yeah, you weren't fun to be around sometimes.
No. Yeah. I just don't choose to do that anymore because it doesn't feel good. So I just got to hope that some of those people grow up. But to tell somebody that because you celebrated on the solstice, how dare you celebrate Yule on the solstice? It's in January, you charlatan. It's like, come on. Like, get a life, dude. Do whatever you want. I got to work on January, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway, beating that dead horse. Yule was fun.
It was fun. We had a great time. We actually opened it to guests because we were in a much better.
We've never done that.
Yeah.
To guest.
To guests. Yeah. Guests that are, had only been invited once or twice to other gatherings prior to that. And I mean, you and I know that Yule should be this joyous, celebratory time that's just about connection and festivities.
And honoring the season. And really, I like doing it in December because it's like, we got through it, baby.
Yes, yes. But you know as well as I do that sometimes to add guests in, it's just not. You can't get through it.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes you can be like lost in your head in a moment during Yule, and your kinsmen can see it and they can pull you out of it. They can notice that you're in this different space and then just pull you out of it and put you back into this space, and you're good. But when you have guests, it's like you have this mask on.
Yeah. Yeah, a mask. It's a good way. Yeah.
And you're faking it until you make it, and it's not a good feeling. It's okay to be
not
vulnerable.
At that event.
It's okay to have, your trauma show on your face for a moment, and your kinsman to be like, hey, you and I need to go sit down and talk.
Yeah. We got you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we did open it to guests, and it was...
Because we were in a fairly good place.
We were in a much better place, yes.
Yeah. Well, I would say much better, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're all still getting through it. I'm sure you are too.
Hey,
we got you. We got your back.
We
like,
survived
we
the fucking
understand
year.
It
It was a rough year,
yeah.
but...
One more year.
It ended on a good note.
So, speaking about ending on a good note.
What you got?
I don't want to lose that. Speaking about ending on a good note, we're going to wrap this up, right? But instead of doing a testimonial like we do, a couple of episodes ago, I talked about my buddy Mikhail and his brush with death, and how he taught me that you don't have to drive the ambulance, and you don't have to fly the rescue helicopter, and you don't even have to paddle the rescue boat. All you have to do is breathe, and the people that matter will come and they will rescue you, right? There are always things working in the background that you're not familiar with or you're not aware of, but when you need it, they will arrive. All you have to do is keep breathing until they get there. It's up to you to not give up, right? So we had that podcast and we talked about that a little bit. And a good friend of ours was going through some shit because, what was it, hurricanes and tornadoes and
hurricanes.
Yeah, in the Carolinas and Georgia area. And that podcast inspired him, and he wrote a song, and he shared it with us, and he let me share it with you. So and just recently, he had made a little YouTube video of it. And he shared that, and it's got the words in it and everything. But instead of doing a testimonial this time, I'm going to play that video for you so that you can hear his words. So this is, once again, just one more little piece of how the Northwoods Kindred has reached out to someone who was not too long ago a perfect stranger and has helped get them through a hard time. And now we are going to be friends for life. And we're pen pals, too. We write letters back and forth to each other, so that's also cool.
When you're struggling, drowning in the abyss, when help seems nowhere in sight, remember, everyone who loves you wants to help you through this. Just keep treading water, my friend. You'll survive the night. All you gotta do is keep breathing. You don't have to drive the ambulance or pilot the medical flight. If Feels like all hope is lost, alone in the night. You don't have to face the dark alone. Take my hand, it'll be alright. Together we'll find a way to make it through the night. All you gotta do is keep breathing. A little boy who went to school, a shiner on his face. How can a father be so cruel? It's such a disgrace. Late at night when the nightmares come, reach out and take my hand. All you gotta do is keep breathing. You feel like you failed him, but you're just a kid. Nobody knows the pain you feel, 'cause you keep it hidden. You don't have to face the dark alone. Take my hand, it'll be alright. Together we'll find a way to make it through the night. All you gotta do is keep breathing. A young man wanted to see the world, so he joined the Marines. But he saw more than most will see. Now it haunts his dreams. Late at night when the guilt sets in, the walls are closing in. All you gotta do is keep breathing. You had a job to do, and you did it well. It feels like nobody understands, brother, I can tell. You don't have to face the dark alone. Take my hand, it'll be alright. Together we'll find a way to make it through the night. All you gotta do is keep breathing. All you gotta do is keep breathing. I got your 6.
Can't top that.
That was beautiful.
Okay, so we're gonna link to that down below for sure. So go support our brother and share his music, right?
Mm-hmm.
With that, I don't think we can top that, so we're not gonna try. So thanks for hanging out with us. Dorvigi.
Dorvigi. Keep breathing.
Keep breathing. 2025 is coming up. Just keep breathing.
We got this.